Tell us. Soldier Boy, tell us. I also get astrology and astronomy confused. Which one's the real science and which one's the... Oh, my personality is shit today because Mercury is in retrograde, so I have a legitimate excuse to be a cunt. Mercury is in Gatorade. No! They're poisoning the alligators in Florida with mercury. I feel like a crocodile or an alligator, I guess, could tank some mercury in their blood. Possibly. We'll ask Nitya to take one for the team. Let's not mercury poisoning my Kohai. Let's not do that. She's so talented. I spoke to her a little bit, and she was telling me about all the stuff she has done. And, yeah, she is one talented croc. She is very talented. Or should I say, very talented. I feel like it's a bit of disservice to try and imitate her accent. She's remarkable. There you go. There you go. The stars aligned and they said you would marry Clio. Maybe I should see a fortune teller and see if they'll say anything about love. Because I don't know. Hello, Wilhelmina. Don't say Willy Raid. That makes me think of something else. Let's not have willies out for blank, guys. Let's not dicks out for Harambe. Please. I've heard tales of schoolies, okay? I know what the Australian youth were doing in that age bracket. I know what they were doing back then, and that was like 2006. That was before Harambe came around. That was 10 years before Harambe. I don't know if there's any Australians here in chats. Any Australians here who went to schoolies? Hands up. If you don't know what schoolies is, I think it's spring break, but Australian. I think for the Americans. I guess if you went to spring break then. You went in 2011 and it was something else. You skipped it. I think it's probably better to skip it, to be honest. You'd be playing map games instead. Yeah, schoolies is when you finish high school. What is spring break? Is that when you finish school and you're going to university in America? I don't think I know what spring break is. Schoolies is like you finished high school, you're about to go to university. So there's like a thing at the end of the school year called schoolies, in which basically every high school graduate goes to one place in Australia called the Gold Coast. And so like 300,000 high schoolers who are at varying degrees of 17 or 18 years old all congregate on the Gold Coast, and then they just drink fuck tons of alcohol underage, somewhat illegally, but you know, they probably also do drugs and all sorts. I didn't do this because I finished school overseas and then came here. I have heard tales. One of my friends split his head open. Well, not one of my friends. One of the people that they went to school with. He slipped on a used condom on the floor and split his head open because someone had just used a condom and then thrown it on the floor, and then he was just walking on, like, this is a street in, like, on the like, one of the busy streets at Schoolies. He just walked on it, slipped, cracked his head open. What an absolutely insane thing to have happen, right? I've heard stories of just, like, people being on balconies, and, like, the guys on the balcony will yell, tits out for the boys, tits out for the boys, and then girls on, like, opposite balconies will just flash them with their tits, and then the girls yell, dicks out for the chicks. Dicks out for the chicks. And then the boys pull their pants down and just flash the girls with their penises. Because it's, you know, it's 20... I guess this was 2006, there's gender equality. So yeah, I never indulged. I wasn't in the country. I couldn't have indulged, because that would have been late 2005, I think. I never got to go. I don't think I want to go. So yes, there's a little bit of willying, I guess. That's a willy raid, I guess. Also, they're like 17 or 18. Like, isn't that like... first of all, I think it is a crime. I think that's public indecency. But also, they might be underage as well. It's just like 17-year-old kids just pulling their pants down and flashing their penis at each other. No, not 17. At least I didn't slip on a used condom. Yeah, that was like the worst story that I heard ever about schoolies. A lot of the other stories were just like, yeah, we got really high, and then some people had panic attacks. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right, but like, where were you doing it? And they were like, we were on a balcony. And I'm like, that seems like a terrible place to have a panic attack whilst you're high as a kite. Because what if your friend just like jumps off after a stone induced panic attack? But luckily people didn't do that. Yeah, there's just a lot of like rampant alcoholism, sex, and tomfoolery, I guess. Drugs, which, you know, I'm glad didn't have to worry about. You have to prepare weeks for that nonsense? Yeah, I mean, I think in Australia, like, the Gold Coast basically just, like, braces itself. And then the worst part is, you have the schoolies, which is referring to the students who graduate and then go to schoolies, but then you have the toolies. And the toolies are people who haven't graduated, they're just older, and they go to schoolies to like, hook up with high schoolers, and it's like, you're 21, why are you at schoolies? I guess 21 isn't the worst, but if you're like 30, right? If you're 30, why are you going to schoolies? What's the age of consent? 16, I think. I never had to worry about it, because I've only ever dealt with adults. Yeah. Me and my friends joined the military at 17, and we're doing war crimes by 18. America is different. Damn. I hope you had fun in Afghanistan and or Iraq. We didn't have to worry about that. Actually, no, Australia did commit war crimes in Afghanistan. The guy who got the Medal of Honor was photographed holding a man's amputated leg and using it as a cup. Like his prosthetic limb. He did a shoey from a prosthetic. Because he killed that person. And then took his prosthetic limb and used it as a drink. Like, it's funny out of context when you see the picture, but then it's like, oh no, that's awful. That's war. Yeah, he was a civilian, by the way. He wasn't like an enemy combatant. It was just a civilian that he killed because he suspected them to be the bad guys. He wasn't using it anymore. Yeah, but when you're the reason that he's not using it anymore, that's a little bit more like, So I think he lost his Medal of Honor, right? Didn't he lose his Medal of Honor? It could have been self-defense. Unfortunately, it was all filmed for him, so we kind of know that it was not self-defense because a lot of people came out and testified against him for, like, the various different bad things that he did, and then he lost his Medal of Honor, and then he, like, tried to sue newspapers who broke the story, and then, was it Medal of Honor? Victoria Cross, thank you. Sorry, I'm thinking of Americanized versions. I was thinking of the game, like, Frontline. Yeah, it was the Victoria Cross, which is the highest honor in Australian military. Because he saved a bunch of people's lives, I think. And so he got the Victoria Cross. And then it turns out, like, maybe later in that year, he did a little bit of war crimes involving civilians. And so then he lost his Victoria Cross, and then he sued a bunch of newspapers, and he lost all of those lawsuits, and so now he's in debt. Yeah, he was our most decorated soldier for a while. He was in the... Was he in the SAS? He read a book? I think he probably did. Yeah, don't document your war crimes. And or piss off the people you did the war crimes with, because they might turn on you, I guess. Speaking of war crimes, shall we play some map games?